an extensive review. I, along with my PhD scholar, and I will be sharing those findings. I will be giving a detailed state-of-art literature review. What will be the research gaps? What can be the research contribution and outcomes? So these are my contents which I will be going through this presentation, starting off with introduction, then formal attack model, what can be the adversary capabilities. Adversaries over here, I am talking about with respect to attacker. We will be defining what we can expect from the attacker side. Based on that, we will be focusing on what can be the security goal, security characteristics, performance, usability problem. Then this existing authentication of things systems. In this, we will be focusing on some. We will be focusing around papers that has been published from 2009 till 2020 on till 2020. What all works have been done. Then, as I said, I will be discussing the research gap, what can be the objectives, and what we can do, outcome, how we can go ahead, and then conclusion. So, starting off with IoT, this has been now a buzzword around us for more than a decade and a half. Nearing a decade, we are talking about IoT. Okay, so the basic concept started off with internet and World Wide Web. Later, we migrated to semantic sensor web, where we talked about sensors easily available on web and how to access those data in an efficient manner. From semantic sensor web, we went towards IoT, so Internet of Things. The basic concept over here is we are talking about an interconnected set of objects, okay, where the objects can be addressed through an unique identity. It is accessible. It should be accessible through internet, and it should be self-organized and retrievable. So these objects are basically we talk about battery operated sensor devices, okay, camera, it can be computer, it can be laptop, any handheld devices. So connectivity is the main thing over here. Interconnected objects over here, where we talk about each and every object which can be accessible through internet. Okay, so we talk about wired area network or wired native, whatever it may be. We have to be interconnected via means of internet, and these devices are self-organized and repairable. Means self-organized means they are highly mm, autonomous in their nature. So this is a general figure about Internet of Things. This we have seen it everywhere. Okay, so talking about toll taxes. Okay, best example I give to my student is that FASTag what we are using. Okay, toll taxes. Especially in some cities in India now we have intelligent parking system where we can book the parking space from home itself if we are going outside. Okay, so generally this is a way where we are connecting each and every object over here. Your objects are your handheld devices, your home, RFID sensors, everything through an internet, and we are able to interact with each other. Okay, even we can, for example, nowadays, if you're not having key, also you can easily manage your vehicle through your mobile apps. Okay, so these are an extension of what we call it an IoT in our day-to-day life. So basically, when we talk of IoT, it is very good to hear that everything, whatever we have, in a simple way, I can say through my mobile, I can control anything which I am involved with. For example, I can remotely control my car, I can remotely control my home, I can remotely control my devices in office or home. Okay, even I can remotely control my Wi-Fi that is at home. But the thing is what, if we talk of IoT, we are talking about a resource constrained environment. When we say about resource constrained environment, I am talking about these devices are very smart, but they are resource constrained in nature. That means what, they work or require low memory, they should consume little energy, and also their performance is low. So they have to be resource constrained in nature in order to live in a to in order to increase their longevity. As we talk of RFID or sensor devices, they are battery operated. Okay, so they are highly resource constrained. So the computation has to be in such a way that their battery is not consumed as much as possible. Okay, so so when we talk about authentication requests from IoT devices to the cloud platform, okay, so authentication request talks about your identifying the identity of a user, okay, who wants to connect to IoT devices or to the cloud platform. That request should be minimum. Minimum, when I say minimum, minimum in terms of storage, minimum in terms of computational power. Okay. So it has to be taking, it has to be efficient, but it should not consume huge storage and huge computational power. So we need to have a scheme to tackle this authentication request in a lightweight manner. In a lightweight manner, where we talk about three things over here. We talk about computation, communication, and storage. When I say lightweight, I'm talking with respect to computational cost, storage cost, and communication cost. So it has to be when we are reducing these three costs, then we can say that we are able to design a lightweight authentication IoT scheme. But the reducing of storage costs should not hamper your uh, authentication mechanism. It has to be as robust as with the primitive or the commonly used algorithm that has been used till date. Okay. So lack of requirements. When we talk of lack of requirements, we are focusing on low computation, communication, and storage costs. So if we why we call it lack of requirements, lack of, because whatever we will think of designing in IoT, it has to be feasible for industry development. Okay, so in point of industry deployment, we have to make our schemes highly resource constrained in nature. Okay, generally, what we find out that existing schemes, what has been referred till date by some good renowned author, is really good, but in some way, they are adding on some cost to it. So some cost, when I say, there might be a load on communication or high computational cost, and the response time is also increasing. Okay, so if we have this things, for example, if my response time is increasing or if I am increasing my computational power, what will happen? This scheme will be having an significant real time scenario loss, where we have to be so if when we are talking about real-time scenario, where the cloud server or where the authentication server will be experiencing enormous authentication requests from n number of clients. Okay, when I say n number of clients, it can be exponentially. Okay, there can be, and we cannot gauge the number of clients over here. So in that scenario, if we are going for a heavy authentication scheme, so think about processing time for each and every devices. Okay, so that will be dealing in a huge amount of loss in real time scenario. And also there has to be some this we were talking about the computational powers, this lightweight mechanism also. But when we talk of lightweight mechanism, we need to be very clear in our mind that lightweight mechanisms should not hamper our security and privacy challenges related to universal authentication, identity management, authorized access of data, okay, and availability of data. This availability of data is going to be a big challenge in the near future. Okay, so what we have to do is, for all these things, we have to think of a lightweight security protocol for constraint environments. When I say constraint environment, I'm focusing on IoT environment only. Okay, so and trust and ownership issues, such as we know about authentication, integrity, and confidentiality, has to be application specific. Okay, it has to be based on specific application, what the user or what the end user is thinking of. Okay, and also we have to be very very clear that privacy has to be preserved at the utmost. Okay, whether we are reducing the security, we are reducing the cost, but the privacy cannot be uh, mm, privacy has to be the most important. Privacy preservation has to be the most important factor over here, irrespective of what cost you are reducing. You cannot compromise on privacy. Okay, what this was the motivation, or you can say the objective, what we felt that it can be, we have to have a authentication mechanism or scheme that has to be lightweight in nature. AOT, we talk of authentication of thing where we are focusing on authenticating IoT or devices. Okay, so the present authentication schemes needs optimize the use of hash function, electric cryptography, and exclusive OR operation. So this was the present need, what we found that we need to have. If we need to have an optimization, we need to do this. Okay. So this is a general architecture scenario, which we call it as, we have an authentication server, and then we have a public channel, and where we have the IoT devices connected to this public channel and the server, and then we have the adversary over here who will be trying to uh, capture the privacy of the user so that it can in fact, so that it can interact with the authentication server and try to gain some necessary information to infect attacks on the user or on the server side. So the first thing, what we find out that for testing the usability and security of any proposed AOT scheme, what is needed is that we have to have a formal definition of an attack model, a formal definition of an attack model, or we need to formally define an attack model, which will suggest what adversary can do on your, what adversary can do and how you can remove it, and then you need to find out the evaluation criteria. This was very very important. This was very very important, where we find out in many works this formal definition of an attack model, where we will have our own, say, assumption. Okay, this can be the model and this can be the attack where adversary can perform these attacks on this model, and this is how we can eradicate it, and this can, and then we need to evaluate it. Okay, so what is needed, that a new research direction to the industry. So from an existing system, we need to find out a new research directions. okay, that can be suitable for industry or organization and to researcher as a whole. Okay, regarding how successfully manage massive computation operation. So what we need to do is we have to be managing the maximum resource. So computation operation has to be massive, no doubt in that. But we have to maximize the resource optimization also, so that we can be able to match our scheme to the real time proposed scheme to our real time scenario. Okay, so the first thing what we did is that we defined, okay, we have this attack model, okay, we formed this attack model, the figure which I showed. So this can be the architecture scenario. Based on that, we formulated six attack that an attacker can do it. First one was P01, where the attacker can do compute a Cartesian product of ID and password in a sample space where represents the respective sample space. Okay, SP represents SP stands for sample space. Also, an attacker can find out a victim device identity by some means when computing victim device security strength. So what it can do, it can also attacker can find out the devices whose security strength is how much. Based on that, he can by means he can identify breach into it, can identify the device. So this can be the second attacker adversary capability. Third, the attacker can take the full control of public communication channel between device and server. Okay. Then we have C2. A attacker can may either know the device password from an attack using special instruments or capture the secret stored in the device using side channel attack. But these two scenarios cannot execute two situations together. That means they cannot work simultaneously together. Either one can be done or two can be done. Okay. Similarly, what attacker can do, C3 talks about the attacker can access and learn the previous session key. Okay, this is related to cookie stealing or session key stealing. Okay. Similarly, an attacker can disclose, C4 talks about, an attacker can disclose server private key and other security parameters for device stored in a database only when the server and device fail to maintain the forward secrecy of session key and known key attack. So this talks about the losing out of your ephemeral secrets via the known key attacks done performed by the attackers. Okay, where the attacker are able to capture that server database and through which they can steal your SN key and then they can work onto it. So these were the six adversary capabilities which were defined. Then what we did, now starting off with evaluation criteria, we defined security goals and security characteristics. So security goals, first we started off with, okay, first we need to have a formal model, okay, then we need to have a industry certified benchmark or software through which we can test our scheme. So we went for Avispa and ProVerif model, which is widely it is a widely used software, and this has industry accepted benchmarks also. Then we have security goal one, where we talked about resist replay attacks. Security goal two, where we talked about resist impersonation attack or spoofing attack. Then we talked about resisting insider attack. Security goal 4 talked about resisting denial of service attack. Security goal 5 talked about resisting server database stolen attack. Okay. So, and then we have security goal 6, where we are talking about stolen verifier attack. Security goal 7, which talked about how to stop man in the middle attack, and security goal 8 talked about your key stealing, how to prevent cookie theft attack. This is nothing but talking about how you can prevent your keys. Okay, and resist server data stolen attack. That also talks. That is also if the database is breached, then server database is breached. When I'm talking about server over here, I'm talking about authentication server. If that database is stolen, then we can easily have keys of any user and we can do anything with it. And then these were some security characteristics which were jotted down, which talked about an anomaly attack, how we can prevent user anomaly attack, how we can ensure mutual authentication, how we can have a proper session key agreement between the server and the end user, how we can ensure forward security. Okay, then we talked about how the password selection policy should be friendly. It has to be strong and has to be friendly also in nature. Okay, how to prevent against wrong password attempts. That is done by the adversary. If it goes for any permutation and combination, we need to prevent that also. Secrecy should be ensured at the highest. Okay, ensure security in the server database. Server database security is also needed. Okay, and prevent password dependent security. This is the ninth security characteristic where we talk about a scenario where we can have a security which should not be dependent on password. And when we talked about performance characteristics, we talked about communication cost, computational cost, and storage cost. And these were some usability problems. Usability problems talked about high processing time. If high processing time means your computation cost is increasing. If your computation cost increase, your memory consumption increases. Okay, this is talking about what can be your key length. If you're going for a larger key length, if your key size is big, your computation power will increase, your processing time will increase. That will lead to your increased memory consumption. Communication channel overhead. This happens when we have n number of users and your secret key computation is taking longer time. So for every user, what happens? Your response time will increasing. Okay, high computational power consumption. Power consumption. If you are doing computation, if your computation is increasing, you are consuming more power. Okay, and more power consumption will also lead to electrical power consumption. Okay, these are some usability problems. Now, what we did is we analyzed. So what we did, we went through all these papers from 2009 to 2020. So starting from reference number 6 to reference number 38, around 33 papers we went through it. Okay, and we presented a comparison based on the formal attack model and SG, security goals, security characteristics. Then we talked about performance, and then we talked about usability problems. And then what we did, we made a table. So with what that table has been broken down into this around seven figures, figures 3 to 9. 9 has the complete table, and then the research gap was input. So figure 3, this is part 1. Okay, where we talked about papers from year 2009 to 2011, where we have four authors, Zhang, Hafizul, Ray, and Granza. So, and what we did, we put whatever things we matched, for example, in Xiang, uh, with respect to adversary capabilities. So, what we did, we first We listed the adversary capabilities, then we listed the security goals, okay, security characteristics, performance, and usability problems over here. And then we find out which all authors have focused on what. So if we talk about Xiang, the first author, he focused on these two things were missing, formal model and proof in Avispa. It focused on impersonation or spoofing attack. That means it has followed security goal 2. And talking about security characteristics 1, 2, 3, 5, and 7. So anomaly attack, mutual authentication, session management, uh, the password selection, friendly password selection policy, okay, and ensuring secrecy against secrets. These were the security characteristics that were considered by Xiang. Okay, so one security goal and around five security characteristics were covered. And performance, what it resulted in, that performance you see over here, it had high computational cost, high communication cost, and high storage cost. And usability problems. So all usability problems were being faced. High processing time, increased memory consumption, communication channel overload, high computational power, and high electric power consumption. So all usability problem was existing. Similarly, if we go to Hafizel, uh, it considered some more security goals with respect to Xian. So it covered around four security goals, which focused on impersonation or spoofing attack, insider attack, resist stolen verifier attack, and resist cookie stealing attack. And it considered around four security characteristics, starting from SC1 to SC4. All four characteristics was four security characteristics, and four security characteristics and four security goals were considered with respect to Xiang. The more number of parameters were considered with respect to Xiang, and it was and they were able to reduce the communication computational cost and storage cost. Okay, so at par, they were able to reduce two performance. They were able to address two performance. Their communication cost was reduced, their storage cost was reduced, and in usability, they were able to reduce almost all usability apart from communication, which was related to the communication part. Okay, talking about Ray and Granza. So Granza had covered very few only two characteristics related to one security, only two consideration, one related to security goal where it was talking about how to resist replay attack and resisting user anomaly attack. Okay, based on that it has done only two, but then also the performance was not so good. Performance was very costly in case of Granza. Every communication cost was also high, communication cost was also high, and storage cost was also high. Talking about Ray was considering four security characteristics goal and two security characteristics. Okay, with respect to Granza, it has considered more amount of um, features with respect to goals and characteristics. Okay, but then also here also the performance was very high. But none of the author over here in this slide had considered the first two security goal, that is proof in formal model and proof in Avispa Pro Verif tool. Okay, so in this figure we find out that Hafizul was somewhat nearer to what we can say the lightweight AOT scheme. Okay, then we had considered authors. Figure 4, we have considered authored work from 2011 to 2014 onwards to 2014. Xiang, so what we see that over here, there were two authors. So the authors have considered more um, attributes with respect to security goal and characteristics with respect to figure number 3. Zhang and Yao has considered the first Xiang has considered security proof and Avispan ProVerif model, and Yao has considered how to define the formal attack model. Okay, but the characteristics covered and goals covered by Yao was only uh, three. Okay, and it was able to reduce the storage cost. Okay, but computational and communication cost was high, storage cost was less. And Xian, what he was able to do is he has considered in total of seven um, features respected to security goal and security characteristics. Okay, so he has considered replay attack, in-person spoofing attack, okay, and anomaly attacks, mutual authentication, session key agreement, and ensuring power security. And he was able to reduce the computational cost. Okay, though computational and communication storage cost was high. And then third, we had Leo, which was able to also reduce the communication cost. Okay, and it has considered around five security characteristics. Then the next three users, they have considered the same amount of characteristics. If I am talking about numbers, okay, there might be difference in goals and characteristics, but the numbers was somewhat similar. See, for example, some might have considered four, some might have considered six, okay, and some might have considered five. So we are keeping it nearer to each other. Somehow the characteristics and the number of goals and characteristics were almost same, but they were not able to achieve the performance what Zhang, Liao, and Yo was able to achieve. Okay, so though they were not able to achieve that much good, but they were better from the last three authors. Okay, at least they were able to reduce. They were able to achieve one performance matrix. Okay, but the other authors were not able to achieve all the other performance characteristics. So if my performance metrics are not being addressed, my usability problem will be existing. Okay, it is directly relational to the performance matrices. Then in figure number five, we have considered work from 2014 to 2015. Okay, we had Chang, Sarukumari, Zhu, Sarvanan, Jiang, and Carla. So Chang, Carla, were further we had uh, gone ahead with Jiang, Carla work. Okay, so Zhang and Carla uh, were standouts over here. You might see were standouts. Why standouts? Because their number of features were their number of consideration of goals and characteristics was less to the other authors over here. Chang had considered only for security proof and formal model and resist stolen verifier attack, and he was able to reduce the computational cost and storage cost. But there were some usability problem existing still over here. Okay, similar to Carla, Carla was better in respect to Zhang. It has considered more parameters with respect to Chang, and he was able to reduce. They were able to. The proposed mechanism was able to reduce the computational and storage cost, and mostly all the usability problem were able to consider. Talking about Shivakumari, Zio, Sabanan, Zhang, they had considered nice amount of parameters. You might have seen some might have considered around 9, 8, 7. Okay, in plus with 6 or 7, but they were not able to. Though their considerations were more, they were not able to reduce the performance cost with respect to computational, communication, and storage cost. Okay, so over here, Zhang and Carla, Chang and Carla were the best work, and we had taken these two work and moved ahead. Okay, this were our. Then again, in this slide, figure number six, we had considered work from 2016 to 2018. Okay, We had an extension to Chang 2014. Has again published a work in 2017, which was extension of the previous work, where he was able to reduce important performance. He was able to achieve two performance metrics: low computational cost, low storage cost, and he was able to address most of the usability problems. Okay, with respect to other users. Okay, with respect to other users, they have considered nice amount of features with respect to security goal and security characteristics, where we had see for example Amin. It has considered and Amin was, with respect to our consideration, this was the only author till now what we find out which has gone for a formal model, and also it has gone for a Avispa and Covaric model. Okay, and V has gone for that formal model, but Chang has not considered these two things. Chang has considered only four um, four parameters with respect to goals and characteristics, and he was able to reduce computation and storage costs. Okay, and so in this figure, what we find out that the authors has used nice amount of security goals and characteristics. Okay, with respect to that, their performance was not so nicely achieved. Okay, some were able to reduce. For example, three authors were able to reduce some performance. They were able to achieve some performance metrics related to computational and storage cost and communication cost. So we were some author was able to Madan who et al. 2017 was able to reduce the communication cost, and Chang, what he was able to do with respect to the 2014 work, he modified that work, and he was able to reduce storage and communication cost. So in this figure, what we find out that Chang was able to uh, Chang was the best. This proposed mechanism of Chang et al. 2017 was best as with respect to the performance metrics and the usability problem, but the consideration of goals and security characteristics was less. Okay, so which might have lead to low computational and low storage costs. Then in this figure, what we are talking about is we are talking about the work from 2018 to 2020. We had Charu Kumari. Work was considered Zhao Yu, Chatterjee, and Zai. Okay, so Saru Kumari has considered nice amount of um, parameters with respect to goals and characteristics. So around eight in numbers were found out in her work, and the storage cost was less. The performance matrix with respect to storage cost was less, and usability problem, she was able to reduce the uh, memory consumption. And then we had Yo, which was able to reduce storage cost. Okay, and Zai, it has considered what this was very interesting. So the computational cost was very less in Zai, as it has considered nothing. What we had listed our security goal and security characteristics with respect to our model, it has considered nothing into it, and then it was able to reduce the computation cost, and he was able to address many usability problems. But he has not considered any of the adversary capabilities, goals, and characteristics. And these are the other works of the authors in the year 2020. Okay. Yu, Sengupta, Yang, Wang, and Mazid. So here the authors have considered nice amount of work. Okay. And for example, Vazit 2020 has covered nice amount of parameters. Similarly, Wang. Okay. you, they have considered nice amount of parameters what we have listed with respect to security goal and characteristics. But performance was still a issue. Okay, they were able to address any one of the performance matrices. For example, some were able to address computational cost, some were able to address communication cost, but no one was able to compute the storage cost. Okay, so what we thought of is the last figure. This is important over here. The last row. The proposed mechanism, what we can have is a kind of this, which has considered as per adversary capabilities, which has considered every security goal, every security characteristics. Performance has to be low in all the respect and no usability problem. And this is the complete table. Figure 9 talks about the complete table which has listed excuse me, which has listed all the work that has been discussed from figure 3 to figure 9. This is the complete table. This is our complete table. Yes, no, tick for yes, cross for no, L, H, low and high. Okay. So based on this, what we did is uh, we had jotted down the research gap. Okay. Now I will be discussing the research gap. So the research gap, the first thing was overconsumption. What we find out, there was overconsumption of resource. When I talk of resource in terms of power, storage, and capabilities, okay. So I am not telling that the mechanism that we went through or the schemes that we went through were bad. They were not bad. They are all well-renowned researchers and authors whose work we are considerably considering, and we follow them. But there was a need of an environment where the limitation has not been considered. When I talk of limitation, those schemes were not suited for IoT devices because they had high running costs. High running costs means there were certain weaknesses which were not able, which were visible to us. First was high response time. High response time will increase. If your computation is increasing, if your communication is increasing, no way your response time. If your storage is increasing, your response time will increase. Okay. High computational overhead. High computational overhead means we are talking about long secret key calculation for each and every authentication request. Suppose if there are 3 or 4 authentication requests, okay, it's well and good. But when we talk about an IoT device, we find out that there is n number of user, and if we go for huge key generation, so for every user that amount of time, what will happen? The computation will increase, memory will more consumption will memory will be more used, and if you're increasing the computational overhead, naturally you will be increasing the power consumption. Your battery will be life will be highly drained. And also there were certain things in certain gaps which we found out related to privacy preserved data. So linking and tracing needs to be avoided. Impersonation was impersonation with respect to authentication preserved data was has to be considered. Data alteration, okay, data alteration, integrity needs to be preserved at that moment. And confidentiality. Confidentiality talked about unauthorized access to the data. Okay, these were the important uh, features or goals what we thought with respect to access control mechanism. We should focus on these. So generally, what we find out that the master control unit of these current IoT device, okay, they have been using RSA and DSA along, uh, mostly commonly used algorithm are RSA and DSA algorithm, okay, and but what was there is that when we for secure communication. Uh, For every interaction, there was a unique secret key was required for every interaction, for secure interaction. Suppose we have millions and millions of devices. What will happen? For millions of devices, for every interaction, we require a unique secret key generation each time. So for n number of devices, see, I am only talking of n number of devices. It can be exceptional, it can be exponentially n also, millions and millions of devices. So if million assign and millions of devices, and if you are computing secret key each time, okay, and that too using RSA and DSA where the key bit is around more than 7,000 bits, so what will happen? Your first of all, your energy will drain out as easily as possible. Key distribution and management, okay, will be highly tough, okay, and there. So this has to be this were the feasible research gap which we found out. Okay, then we talked about what we find out that though these schemes were good, whatever we have considered and have been published in well-known and reputed places I mean to say journal over here, but the acceptance in companies was very less. First thing what we find out, there was a lack of data protection and privacy mechanism, and for example, session key of AOT system should require very less computational task. For example, if you talk about key using ECC, it is around 384 bit. Okay, and if we go with RSA, the key size will be around 7,680 bit. Okay, so see the difference over here. So the first thing what we find out that if we use ECC in place of RSA or DES or AES, this could reduce the communication computational cost as much as possible. Okay, so ECC was preferred in such cases and in most of the session, but so over here, what we find out there was some vulnerability or threats with respect to session key, which depended on single ephemeral secret. Okay, so if the leakage happens, then that secret is lost. Okay, so some AOT mechanism they failed to present the validity of their mutual authentication key management in real time IoT scenario. Okay, so there was lacking. First of all, there was a vulnerability of threats because they were using a single ephemeral secret, and if this leakage happens, how this will be stopped. Secondly, the claims were not so accepted. Why it was not accepted? They were not using some standard test bed or some standard industry certified tools. Okay, so environmental setup. So they were considering some environment setup for their performance, but where the results were not so supportive. So it was needed that we should go for some certain industry benchmark tools or industry benchmark data set, check our schemes on those and perform some leakage and see that whether the capability, whether the adversary is able to steal your secrets or not. If you doing that, then that scheme can be accepted as a whole. Okay, and this was very very uh, means what we said. What we find out that in, there were some lightweight AOT schemes, but evaluation was not proper. That means they were lacking quantitative and qualitative evaluation. When I talk of quantitative evaluation talked about tools or models such as Avispa and ProVerif tools. And qualitative, I talked about that is what we have defined a threat model, security criteria, and evaluation. Okay, so the robustness, there was flaws what we encountered in many lightweight AOT schemes. Okay, so this thing, these two criteria, quantitative and qualitative criteria, were highly missing. Okay, so we needed to, so we need to consider these things, qualitative and quantitative both. Okay, so existing AOT mechanism were not so robust. To ensure robustness and usability or acceptance across multiple platforms, we needed that we have to consider what we felt that quantitative and qualitative security evaluation needs to be done together. It has to be. We cannot say we are going for qualitative, we can't, we won't go for quantitative. No, if we have to make our scheme acceptable on related to real-time scenarios or industry scenario, it has to be quantitative and qualitative. Both criteria needs to be satisfied. So these were the research gap what we found out. If you talk about the research gap, I can list about that. Okay, the first thing is that that resource constraint environment is there. Okay, the key size is very very much considered. Absence of industry certified benchmark data set and absence of qualitative and quantitative security evaluation criteria. Now, what can be our objectives to go ahead from here? The first objective is of investigative in nature. Okay, we need to investigate as what we did, the existing work, and we need to specify or we need to actually find out the factors that are leading towards excess resource consumptions or losses in IoT devices. Okay, so this is the first thing, investigation towards why, how this loss is occurring. Then we are talking about development of standard criteria. Standard criteria, there has to be a standard criteria for designing a secure and lightweight authentication model. That the standard criteria starts off with qualitative, qualitative in terms of think in terms of adversary capability model, means what adversary can do to your system and how you can avoid it and how you can evaluate it. Okay, then the criteria, as I said, criteria, the criteria needs to be defined in keeping in mind that it has to satisfy both quantity and qualitative analysis. Okay, then only we can achieve the success in real time scenario. Okay. Now, standard performance evaluation criteria has to be used to evaluate AOT schemes in real AOT devices. Performance evaluation criteria, we need to go for test bed or simulation bed that has been provided by the industry to check. Okay, and we have, once we are done with, we need to propose scheme that eliminate the existing weakness in AOT schemes. Okay, contribution, what can we do? First contribution is highly logical in nature. Okay, which talks about investigation only, which we did. Investigation, investigate ideas of how why consumption is happening and highlight the future improvement idea behind the existing AOT method. Okay, So we need to find out, okay, these were the criteria and how we can improve it. Okay. And also, second thing, what we can do is we need to identify the relationship between entity and device capacity. Okay, AOT entity and device capacity. That is process, storage, and power capability. Okay, this relationship has to be identified. Then only we can achieve the performance characteristics. What we can do is a detailed study of various security parameters that are involved in designing a limited device-based IoT scheme. Okay, such as there are many schemes, ECC. I have talked about ECC, RSA. We can look further. Okay, what we can do is we can design a study that reflects challenges for implementing secure cryptographic solution, keeping in view the three costs: storage, computational, and communication cost. Then what we can do is a lightweight security criteria. Lightweight security criteria, which talks about starting off with defining a formal security model, then defining adversary capability, and then evaluating criteria. In evaluating criteria, we have to focus on security goals, security characteristics, performance, usability problem. Okay, all these things has to be considered. Understanding the security of AOT scheme and its usability and practicability in so that we are able to understand the security aspects and its usability in the current IoT scenario. Okay. Also, the framework what we are designing, we need to measure that AOT system suitability or performance in real-time cloud scenario. The scheme that we are using for AOT for authenticating IoT systems, whether what will be that performance in terms of IoT cloud scenario. Okay. Then what we can do is we can summarize this study importance. Whatever study we have done, we can summarize it like that table. And then what we can do, we can start proposing the scheme to eliminate the problems. What we did, we summarized the table. And then we started we started work on reducing the computational cost and storage cost. Now we are focusing towards communication cost. Okay, so like this, we need to summarize these things, get to the criteria one by one, and then we need to reduce it and get the desired lightweight AOT mechanism. Okay. Also, this study should help the researchers or others to evaluate the security, usability, and practicability of the proposed AOT scheme, such as using out the suggested adversary capability evaluation criteria which were absent in existing AOT work. Okay. Also, we need to evaluate the performance of the scheme using our standard cryptographic operation primitive timing, which we recorded on implementing on actual AOT devices. For example, what we did is we went for Ethereum blockchain, okay, which was a test set provided by Ethereum, and we had used that. I am giving you an example. Similarly, there are some certain industry benchmark data set and tools which we can use to test our mechanism. Also, that is very important to make people understand why actually we require a lightweight AOT scheme based on the limited resource constraint nature of real-time IoT devices. Also, this research can help to achieve high performance of devices, ensuring security and privacy in real IoT cloud scenario in order to gain acceptance in industry or organization. Your scheme should be accepted in industry or organization. Also, uh, you need to specify your study should help, or your work, or your you can help the community to identify the proper selection of security parameters, which will lead to a lightweight algorithm for secure AOT scheme. Okay, this is also very very important. How, what parameters to select, how to select. Okay, so that my robustness is also there and my lightweight mechanism is also achieved. Okay, then I'm going for conclusion. So the first thing what I mean to say is the reality of IoT is not far. Okay, uh, around the corner. There is enormous scope, challenges, and opportunities. Huge challenge and opportunity is there. Internet, along with high-speed mobile communication, would become communication backbone for IoT. That is happening. Okay, so more users are moving towards mobile-based devices. Okay. There has to be an agreement between the manufacturer and service provider on set of solution based on functional and financial goals. Okay, so security and privacy policies should come out of the box. It should not be traditional in nature. Come out of the box means more emphasis should be laid on resource conscious environment where devices are very very low in case of resources. How that can work over there? Okay, we can focus on lightweight crypto primitives, which such as proxy security, data ownership, denial of service, destroying data, where we talk about all these things. And finally, I'm talking about regulatory issues, political factors has to be resolved. Okay, regulatory issues, and that means there has to be a consensus overall in the society where we can have a policy where we can work in a proper manner. And these are the references what we have covered. So from 6 to 36, 30. So these are all that we have considered. So thank you. And this PPT would not have been possible because without my student, Mr. Ajay, who is working in this, and we have succeeded in achieving two or three good publications to this work.
Thank
Hello,
you.
sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sir, I
For
have a
your
question. May I?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So you talk about the cryptography algorithms and the schemes. So, can you throw some light on the lightweight cryptographic methods in IoT which we can use apart from ECC? Any other are there?
Presently, we are using ECC only. We went for RSA, DES, AES, and ECC. What we have achieved, characteristic performance good. We have achieved it through ECC. Okay. Still, we are into looking into other options apart from ECC, where we can incorporate in our existing algorithm. But still now we have use ECC only.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your such a wonderful session. It was indeed. And thanks for explaining the domain of IoT in all its strengths and weaknesses in such a comprehensive way. I would like to thank you on behalf of my institution, Sri Shankaracharya Technical Campus, sir. And it was a wonderful session, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Panda. Hope whatever has been discussed was feasible, good and feasible for everyone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely, sir. It is very. It would be very beneficial for us for as far as the research work is concerned, sir. Your work is kind of uh, definitely it would be very beneficial for us.
Yeah, I'm typing my mail ID. If anyone has any other further requests, they can post on my mail. So I have given my mail ID in the chat box.
So now I would like to request all the participants to turn up with their video cam so that we can take a snap for this session. Thank you for this session, and the next session will be started from 3:30 to 5 p.m. and from right now to 3:30 it would be lunch break. Then we'll be continuing the next session. Thank you.